Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is...
The Wellness Journey inspires, enlightens, and informs women over 40 and all the people who love them. It is a journey that we will take with tips from authors, doctors, and practitioners of holistic living. During this show, experts in the field will provide tips, tools, and techniques that are fun and simple for all to try. Come join me on this journey. Get inspired, get informed, and get well. My name is Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and welcome to the Wellness Journey podcast series. I am so glad that you've taken the time to tune in and listen to some of the premier experts in the field of mind, body, spirit wellness. I really love doing this show because I get a chance to learn, like all of you listeners and those who are viewing you on YouTube and some of the other channels. I get a chance to learn about really what makes all of us tick, so to speak, in our mind and body and our spirit. And if we're not quite ticking quite the right way, the kinds of things that we could do to get back on track. Today, I am very excited to have with us someone who I really admire. I met her through Facebook Live. She is fantastic. And Victoria, I meant to ask you before we came on how to pronounce your name correctly. It's
Victoria Lorient-Faibish.
Victoria Lorient-Faibish. And I know that her bio is there on the show page, but for some of you who are listening on iHeartRadio and the other stations, she's a registered psychotherapist and a relationship life coach, author, and keynote speaker with over 20 years of experience. And she has developed her own brand of holistic psychotherapy using traditional and Eastern approaches to empower her clients and strengthen their relationships. And she gets most of her influence from Buddhism, Reiki, osteopathy, visualization, meditation, as well as some of the modern and traditional forms of psychotherapy. She's skilled in communication that fosters deep self-awareness with her clients and leads to changing and healing. Her first book, Find Your Self-Culture, Moving from Depression and Anxiety to Monumental Self-Acceptance, offers a really great way, a holistic way out of depression and anxiety. And her second book, Connecting, Rewiring Your Relationship Culture, teaches readers how to use brain science to address multi-generational relationship dysfunction. She's also an iconic Toronto TV host, wrote the foreword to the second book for Dini Petty, who says, "This book would have made my journey shorter and easier. It will guide you through your family matrix, into dating in the modern world, how to spot relationship dysfunction, and from the start, and finally lead you into a healthy relationship and enduring marriages." Wow, that's a wonderful forward. Victoria, thank you so much for taking out the time to be on the Wellness Journey Live. It's wonderful.
I'm so honored to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
I know. I'm so glad we finally could work it out in terms of our scheduling.
I know.
Well, that's a wonderful resume. And I know it only says just a little teeny bit about you, but tell us, what caused you to be so passionate about what you do? What was the start for you to decide to get into psychotherapy of all things?
You know, I got to say, the work that I do, I've really started to understand that the two themes that are really, really present in the work that I do and have been present from the beginning of my career, which is over 25 years, is courageous conversations with self and others and with life, and also troubleshooting the self. Like really troubleshoot the self. And, you know, I come from a family of origin that you better be doing that or you're going to be sinking. You better, you know, it's like, I love my family passionately. I deeply adore them, but they gave me really a lot of lessons on, you know, wake up, be conscious, don't repeat patterns of dysfunction. So what gets me up in the morning is knowing that the work that I do really is effective in stopping multi-generational dysfunction. I work with technology with the brain science, with neural pathway changing to shift out the autopilot repetitiousness of dysfunctional patterning. And that is that's been with me I'm passionate about it because I really know it worked for me. And I know that it works for my clients. And I know that ultimately the planet needs to be awakened and needs more consciousness and needs to understand that there is simple, easy technology to change repetitious dysfunctionality. And that is, I can't imagine not being passionate about that.
It's so exciting too. And let's kind of digress and kind of go back a little bit, because I know that one of the titles that you have and one of the designations has to do with holistic psychotherapy.
Right.
What is holistic psychotherapy and how does it differ from psychotherapy?
Well, in traditional psychotherapy, we're basically doing a lot of talking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the talking head, it's the cognitive understanding of things, it's processing things at a cognitive level, using sort of the intelligent part of us and the emotional part of us. But with holistic psychotherapy, because I have over 9 years of training and expertise and certification in Eastern-based holistic modalities like polarity therapy, craniosacral, Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, and I bring in also a few other different modalities, reflexology, new decision therapy, and then I combine that with the talk therapy. It is effective and it really changes people at a much more rapid rate. And it's not about fast, but it is about effective, and it's not like 30 years of psychotherapy. People can get in and within a few months really experience profound change and profound transformation. And I believe it's because we're combining the talk with the different modalities so that we're looking at the body, the energy, the physicality, so it's body pain, mind pain, emotional pain. And then we do a lot of spirituality as well. We talk about the soul's journey, the trajectory of what's happening in terms of patterns, in terms of the soul, not just the ego personality part of us. So we really talk about all aspects. And then I also bring in the life coaching piece. So there's, what's happening now and what can you activate to affect your future. So it's not just delving into the family of origin. It's from the past to the present, from the present to the future, from the mind to the body, from the body to the spirit. It's all.
It's the whole continuum.
We're not just one piece. We're all of it. We're all of it.
And how does taking this approach really get to the root cause of what might be going on with someone when it comes to dealing with their own emotions and their own issues around perhaps their emotional unwellness?
Well, the root lives in the body. I mean, a lot of people they say, well, this is just the way I think. Victoria, I don't know. This is just the way I think. It's why I was brought up. It's the way we do things. And I go, okay, well, close your eyes and have a little journey into the part of your body that's tense. And like, imagine you're in a submarine, a mini submarine, and you're the captain of the submarine, and you have the power to manage the submarine as you go into your body and go to the part of your body that's most tense. And in there will be information and patterns and possibly true feelings, not just habituated feelings, but deeper shames and guilts and fears that the conscious mind isn't aware of. So we delve below the consciousness into the subconscious. And what is unconscious, Lynnis, is what controls us. So if we're not clear and conscious about what's living in the sub and unconscious, it's just going to keep making us do stuff, and we don't even know why we're doing stuff. So I look to shine a light on the monster, shine a light on the unconscious, subconscious aspects through the somatic aspect, which is the body aspect. And also, paying attention to, autopilot responses that you may not. My favorite thing for people to say, Lynnis, is, I never thought about it that way.
Right.
That's my favorite thing for people to say, because I know we're onto something.
Right, absolutely. Now, you mentioned Reiki, and I think most people know what that modality is, but you mentioned a couple of other modalities that are interesting that have to do with the neuron receptors. What is that? What are some of those modalities, and how do they work?
Polarity therapy, I would call the Rolls Royce of body-centered work. It's an amazing modality that was created by Dr. Randolph Stone, who was an osteopath and a chiropractor. And he traveled to India and China and brought back to the West traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, and combined that with his Western osteopathic chiropractic modality. And he basically created this amazing 3-year program, which I did twice, years and years and years and years ago. It's why I'm one of the sort of teachers of it, etc. It's the combination of East meets West. And so you're working with the chakra system, you're working with the meridian system, you're working with the different parts physically of the body, you're working deeper, you're working in light. So to me, polarity therapy is such a magnificent, full spectrum modality that I work with every day. And then I also do craniosacral, which is this very subtle, beautiful, energetic work where we work with the cranium,
Right, yeah.
and also the sacrum, and very, very light, relax. It's all about, Lynnis, it's all about getting the body to be in a state of the relaxation response of the nervous system. Because it is when we're in the relaxation response that we are seeing our feelings and our thoughts and our belief systems much more clearly. It's when we're in that harried fight, flight, freeze part of us.
Yes. I was just getting ready to ask you about that, because we were kind of talking about that a little bit before we came on, and that's just how crazy things are right now in the United States. And regardless of what side of the fence you might sit on politically, I think we can all agree that it is crazy right now. I think that
trauma,
right.
Fear.
I think the phrase TMI has taken on a whole new meaning. Way too much information. Traumatizing. Even the most calm person right now is feeling some of this. I mean, literally, my husband and I have this joke because we both work from home. We're like, okay, it's been an hour. Let's see what's happening. I mean, and literally, I kid you not, within that hour, something else has happened. And not just little.
I got to say, Lynnis, I tell people, go on a media fast. Go on a media fast.
I'm telling you, that is such great advice, because it's very stressful. So given these times where it's up and down like this, what kinds of things or what kinds of advice can you offer our listening audience? I mean, you say go on a media fast. That's definitely.
Well, that's one thing. But I think the brilliant aspect of holistic psychotherapy is that we process traumatic, fear-based concepts like events and issues. So I'm going to relate it to your question, but while relaxing. So that gets to rewire your neural pathways, so that even though you're processing traumas and scary things and scary concepts and past experiences and scary emotions and whatever, but imagine doing all that while your body is being induced into profound relaxation, not sleeping. Profound relaxation. So you're combining traumatic concepts and scary, activating alongside relaxation. And that allows you to reframe the traumas through the more calm nervous system. So when you say, what do we do with all this craziness that's going on? I mean, if you're going to indulge in watching media or news, I would say do it after you've meditated. Do it after you've relaxed. Try not to let your body get too activated. Although I got to say, with the blue light from the television and all that stuff, it's very, very difficult. So I'm not recommending a lot of news ingestion. Like, don't ingest a lot of news every day. I don't. I listen to the CBC, which seems to be a little bit more benign as I'm listening to.
I listen to CBC or BCC. Yeah, I agree. Both those are
it's a little easier. Yeah. It's not as sort of designed for
shock value.
Yeah, exactly. So I try and do it that way, and then maybe sometimes I'll listen to it. I won't watch it, just listen to it on the radio, as opposed to having all your senses involved in the news experience. So, but the bottom line, I believe, Lynnis, is that there's a necessity for training the brain and the mind to rest and relax while ingesting the traumatic or scary information, so that you're training your brain, the limbic system, which is your fight, flight response, to not be so activated at all times. So, but that is important discipline training. And that's why when I do holistic psychotherapy, we're processing tough stuff, but while we're inducing the body to relax.
You know,
so it's pretty powerful.
I love about you and your practice is that you have this wonderful show on Facebook Live that I know has been helpful to so many. I share it to my group, and my group is about 1,700 women now, and I know that they watch it. What made you decide to do that? And what kinds of things do you talk about on that show?
Well, Courageous Conversations is the name of the Facebook Live. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just find me on Courageous Conversations on Facebook. And I got to tell you, it's all about having courageous conversations with yourself, with life, and with others. I feel like if we don't troubleshoot the self, we are doomed to simply repeat what we learned from our family culture and from our fear-based thoughts that make us automatically respond to situations. We need to learn more emotional regulation so that we're not just impulsively responding. And I believe that when we troubleshoot ourselves, when we look and shine a light on the monsters of our life, we are less apt to be afraid of them. I call it and many people have called it, not just me, the Wizard of Oz effect, where you pull back the curtain and go, oh, it's not some scary monster talking. It's just a little old, rickety guy trying to scare me.
Exactly.
Isn't
that true about so many things? I have found, because I have an anxiety disorder, or I had it, I still have it, it's still there.
Yeah.
I've learned to manage it.
Wonderful.
One of the things that I've learned to do, first of all, when I start to get anxious about something, I first lean into it as much as possible and say, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just go ahead and feel it instead of like pushing it back, because that makes it worse. Just go ahead and feel it. And I've learned a couple of things about that. It's kind of like that first time, or maybe second or third time you go on a roller coaster or a Ferris wheel. You don't want to go. Your friends tell you to go, go, go. You don't want to go. No, 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 no. You go ahead and you go, and you're screaming and everything even before it starts. Then it starts going. You're like, oh, you're going on that, and you get off, and you're like, oh, wow. Let's do that again,
That's right.
That's pretty much how life is, at least in my opinion, when it comes to facing those monsters underneath the bed. You go and you pull the monster out, kind of funny looking, or there's something in it that, that whatever you thought was going to be so horrible, it's never as horrible as we think it's going to be, or as we feel it's going to be, because I know our feelings don't always tell us the truth. Our feelings are rooted in things that don't have anything to do with what probably will happen. And that's interesting. One of the things I've learned about anxiety. But when it comes to anxiety in general, a lot of the women that listen to this broadcast, we're all like, 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s. Yes. And some of us
I'm in there.
Yeah, right. And some of us are getting ready to go into that menopausal thing. And one of the things that seems to grow more because of the hormonal differences and changes is the feeling of anxiety and the anxiousness. What's some of your advice in terms of how women can kind of manage that?
Well, I think, again, I take a holistic approach to that. I take a mind, body, spirit approach to that, because I believe that if you just do the mind thing, it's not going to be that effective. So in my practice, we're working with natural supplementation for working with supporting the adrenal glands. We're working with different herbs to help, like GABA, 5-HTP if you're not on an antidepressant, Omega Joy, which is fish oil, which is amazing. I don't know if in the States they have a product called Omega Joy, but it's high amounts of EPA versus DHA. So we're definitely working with supplements and also large doses of probiotics. I have training and all of that, so that's something I do talk about. But then also I'm working with meditation, affirmations, visualization. My website is called visualizationworks.com. But visualizing, it's everything. The brain does not differentiate between real or imagined. So you can really bring your nervous system into relaxation through positive visualization of something that normally scares you. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important. And then, of course, resolve your past. That so helps anxiety. Resolve shame. Forgive yourself. Work with making friends with all parts of yourself. Radical acceptance, like Tara Brach, the author of that book, Radical Acceptance. She talks about making friends with all parts of yourself. Banish the shame. Let go of guilt. Say no when you want to say no. Say yes only when you want to say yes. Be courageous enough to draw boundaries and not let other people invade your being. And really, Lynnis, the thing about self-culture, I say find your self-culture. Excavate it, discover it, and protect your self-culture. And what's that really about? The one thing that's most important about that, it's personalized self-care. Personalized self-care, and also letting your voice be the loudest voice in your head versus
all the other outs. I love everything that you're saying, and I feel like it's for me because it's just validation in terms of how I've decided to live my life. And it started right after I turned 60. I'll never forget it. November 3rd, 2017. I turned 60 in June. But it wasn't until November 3rd. I turned 60 in June 3rd, June 3rd, 2017. And then November 2017 is where I had this major aha moment.
Wow.
In terms of what it was I was supposed to be doing with the rest of my life. And then again, just recently in October, on October 10th, and I'm saying these letters because I've learned that 10, 7, and 5 are my numbers. Okay. But on that particular day, it took me further into whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing and learning in terms of up-leveling in my life. And one of them had to do with a confirmation around, I'm sorry, that's my phone, a confirmation around, I'll have to edit that out too. A confirmation around the importance of visualization and the importance of affirmation. And for me, visualization has to do with putting the scriptures where I can see them, the affirmations where I can see them,
beautiful,
the goals where I can see them, both goals in terms of, writing in numbers and all of that. So someone that comes in my prayer room office, they're like, whoa, this is really busy. But for me, it's very comfortable because it's all about me. It was created by me, about me, for me. And that may seem a little narcissistic, but
no.
it works.
But don't forget, there are positive versions of narcissism.
Okay.
People get so afraid of the word narcissism because, there's a lot of traumatic, harmful narcissists out there. However, we need a dosing, a healthy dosing of narcissism to self-care, to prioritize ourselves.
Yes.
So it's just, let's not, in a continuum, we have healthy narcissism and we have unhealthy narcissism. I say to people, you need a little dose of that self-culture, selfiness, which may be called narcissism, but it's not the unhealthy version. By the way, when we're little kids, we're narcissists. Feed me, love me, think about me. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. and you're tired. It's all about me. Now that becomes unhealthy if it doesn't get trained out of you. But healthy narcissism is, I matter, I'm valuable, I'm worthy, I am allowed to say no, I am allowed to not indulge in the disease to please everyone but me. That's healthy. That's healthy. It's a good thing.
What are some of the common issues that women my age or younger or whatever come to you about?
Well, I'm 53, so, I get it. I totally am on board with all of that. And I would say that there's a lifetime, especially if people, have kids and have been in long marriages, they've kind of been trained to be of service to everyone other than themselves. And then, of course, so that's one issue, and they've got to really learn that they've got to prioritize themselves, or the body. Today my courageous conversation was about evolve or repeat. So we evolve or repeat, and I shared it on your group, I believe, and it's all about got to start to understand sooner or later, if you don't evolve, that repeating lesson is going to hit you with a 2x4 over your head in the form of illness, in the form of massive sort of shocking traumas in your life, etc. But so that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at when I'm looking at people that are men and women, but specifically women over 40. The learning to prioritize the self is massive. And then the other one is learning about, do I really like what I'm doing, like for a living kind of thing.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. And I feel super blessed because I do love what I do, and I've been doing this for 25 years, and I just, the universe literally took my body and said, yeah, do this. This is what you're meant to do. Acting, I used to be an actor early, and that was great, but it wasn't what I was meant to do. This work is what I'm meant to do. And I can see myself doing more and more speaking and engaging and all of that stuff. But I would say that when we hit 40, we have our Saturn return at 28, which is where we go, Saturn is the taskmaster planet. And it's like, what's going on? You better figure that out. 28 years old, we start. But 40 and 45, this is when we have to activate a lot of our self-culture. Be selfie, not selfish, be selfie. And women struggle with this.
Yes.
We're great apologists.
That's interesting because at 45 is when I divorced my first husband.
Okay.
And I got remarried a little bit later on. And at 51 is when I left corporate America to form my own company. And it's interesting because I have another show called Living Well Women, and for women of color who, you know, some of the commonalities that we have. And one of the things that's really interesting with the two panelists that are on the show, we were talking and we realized that at 50, because one is 50, one just turned 51, and then back when I was 51, we all either left or were in the process of leaving corporate America and doing our own thing. Right at a time where most people think, okay, you're heading towards retirement, you're calming down, the kids are in college or almost out of college, you know, you're going to just basically retire from that life and then maybe pursue something that you want to do, or maybe, you know, do line dancing, not poo-pooing line dancing, but you see where I'm going here.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like retiring from life kind of thing.
Yeah.
As all of us at that stage decide, you know what?
You got to do you. It's all about, because if you don't find your self-culture, if you don't live your self-culture.
Exactly. I love that self-culture. I like that term. Victoria.
And self-culture is all about, you know, what's culture? A collection of patterns and ways of doing things that are largely unspoken, but that we inherit from our family culture and our religion culture and our country culture. But if our self-culture doesn't align with that, that's when depression and anxiety really hit. That's why my book is called Find Your Self-Culture, Moving from Depression and Anxiety to Monumental Self-Acceptance, because until you accept yourself, until we fully make friends with ourselves and really find our self-culture, I don't believe that we can be fully joyous and fully aligned with our happiness. And I believe that a lot of depression and anxiety, now, I'm not saying that depression and anxiety don't have a biochemical or a chemical aspect to it, but I do know that anytime people are in there, finding their self-culture, finding out what really makes them tick, really authentically, that will alleviate a lot of the symptoms of depression and anxiety, alongside with, you know, medication if necessary, or natural ways of treating.
And I agree absolutely with you, because I did some of all of that to arrive to where I am now.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's not a perfect process. No. Everybody is different. What might work for one person may not work for another, but I think anytime you decide, the first step when you're dealing with anxiety, depression, or anything that has to do with the emotional modality, the first step is to decide that you want to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so many people don't. That we have so many what I call the walking wounded that just never get help. They just don't want to deal with it. They feel that admitting that they need help in that area, there's something wrong. Like, well, and I don't understand that, because you go to the dentist, you go to the doctor, you go to the eye doctor, right? So why not go to the mind doctor? I mean,
absolutely.
But once you've made up your mind to do that, then you have to make up your mind to do the work. Yeah. And prepared to, you know, have some breakthroughs, and a few times when you're like, you thought you had it, and then boom, that symptom is back or whatever. It's a constant quest. But for me personally, I have learned that ultimately, the best way to live my life with this kind of disorder is to learn to live in the present and not be so preoccupied with the past, can't change it, and not so preoccupied with the future, can't predict it. And to learn to really get the joy out of this moment, like I am, you know, talking with you right now. And
right now is everything.
That's all I know I have for sure. You know, not that I don't have any plans for the future, but I'm not as vested in tomorrow as I am right now today. And that's why it worked for me.
But it's, you know what, it doesn't just work for you. I think it's pretty well universal, is letting that present moment be the guiding light of your life, because it's everything. Yeah. I'm not talking about not planning for the future. You know, you got to plan, but future planning is not future worrying. Future planning is future planning. Future worrying is destruction. It's basically, and past obsessing, you can is so different from beautiful memories about the past, or even just memories about the past, not even beautiful, just memories, is different from obsessing and roiling around inside you, just obsessing and then feeding that obsession with guilt, regret, guilt, shame, you know, fear, you know, all of that. Yeah. So and it's a tremendous discipline to focus on the here and the now.
Yes, it is. It does take practice. But, you know, it's a lot. I mean, this was a 10-year journey for me. So it's not as difficult as it used to be. But every once in a while, you know, you backslide, you fall into past behaviors or feelings or realities. But the thing is how you respond to it. Hopefully, with the help of someone like you, how you respond to it is different. And I'm imagining, since you're on the internet a lot, do you offer sessions through the internet as well? Or?
Oh yeah, I do online, absolutely. I did a Skype call today with someone in California, actually.
Okay. So for people who want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So go to my website, visualizationworks.com. That's the hub for everything. You can see my videos there. You can see my articles. You can see the work that I do, the kind of work that I do. And then if you want to find me on Facebook, come and join my group, Courageous Conversations, or like my page, Courageous Conversations. And, that's a great way to sort of get a taste of my work and a taste of me, essentially. And then essentially to contact me, right on the website, Visualization Works, you can go info@visualizationworks.com, or you can message me through Facebook, which I'm happy to respond to as well.
Yes, you did, because you responded to me, and I'm so glad you did. I am so glad. I knew that you would be fascinating to talk to, and I hope you'll come back again, and we'll talk about some more specific things around depression that I'd like to hear.
I would be so delighted, and I think you mentioned an article. I'm a writer as well, so I'd be happy to share my info with you guys. And also, I was just going to say, if anyone wants to just ingest the videos, I have a YouTube channel that has all the videos, and it's called Ask Victoria.
Okay, great. We'll make sure we put that on the show page as well. Again, thank you so much for being on the Wellness Journey podcast series. It's so wonderful to have you here today, and I really appreciate your time and your patience in getting this done.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm totally happy that we were able to do it, and you're just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I'm so honored to be here.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you. And sorry about the internet is live. What can I tell you? Sorry about the telephone rings, the lighting, but such as, no matter what happens, we got it done. And I'm so glad we had Victoria. And again, for those of you who want to find out more, and I think all of you should, because this is fascinating, this topic is fascinating, and she is so wise in so many of the modalities that can help you to be well from an emotional standpoint. I mean, psychotherapy is wonderful, but holistic psychotherapy, you gotta go to her website and check her out and find out all about her and her books. It's been so wonderful to get a chance. And oh yeah, I want to make sure that you know that Victoria has also given us a free meditation, Heal the Hurt Child Within. And the actual link is also on the website as well. Just click on that link there. And for those of you who are listening to iHeartRadio, you need to go back to the Self-Discovery Network or Google the Wellness Journey podcast series. I'll pop up. You can go to the page, and you too can subscribe to this wonderful email that will help you heal that hurt child from within. So all of you, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to look me up on Facebook, the Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond group. Join. We're growing. We're up to over 1,700, and I really want to get to 2,000 by the end of 2018. If it's at all possible, that's the goal. Help me reach it. And don't forget to tune in also to my brand new live show with two wonderful other women. That's Keisha Dixon and Dr. Draylon James. And our new show is called Living Well Women, Holistic Living for Sisters. Join us every Thursday at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Facebook Live for real life conversations about women, for women, by women, especially those of color. Thanks so much for listening. It's been wonderful to have you, and I really appreciate all of your time. Remember that on this journey that we call wellness, sometimes it gets pretty rough, but as long as you have tips, tools, and techniques from wonderful experts like Victoria, you'll make it through. Thanks a lot for listening, and we will see you again next time. Join me next week when I'll have a new guest discussing a new topic that will aid you at every point on your wellness journey. For more information on how to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit, click the link on your screen to check out my e-magazine, Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond. Till next time, keep living your life like it's golden.
For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.